Rick Reynolds. I'm the master of the ceremonies and the coordinator, and I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for attending today. Can everybody hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Well, to begin with, welcome. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day for a ceremony, a dedication, fields. With that saying, I think it encompasses all. That's all the family. It's all about the family. Next, I'd like to welcome Ralph Rife, Sons of Confederate Veterans, Camp 1863, the chaplain. We will now have prayer.
Glad to be here, everybody. Proud to be a Southerner. And, you know, Dixie means a lot to y'all, or you wouldn't be here, because that Dixie blood is beating right there in that chest. This is an honor for me to be here today. I just want to praise you and thank you and ask for the Lord's blessings on each thing that's said and done today. The Lord's good to us, and we're not ashamed of our ancestors, not ashamed of where we come from. We want to honor this statue here. That's what we're here for. And appreciate each and every one of you. Lord, we ask you, we come to you now, humble as I know how, Lord, thanking you for that precious blood that Jesus shed on Calvary, Lord. Be with us in this ceremony we do, Lord. We ask for your blessings upon it today, Lord. Lead us and guide us in each thing that's said and done, Lord. I want to praise that name of Jesus. Praise his name. He's my Savior, and I love him, and he's been good to me. I'm a walking, talking miracle, and the Lord put me here for a reason. And God bless each one of you, and love each one of you. God bless you. Long live the Southland, Dixie forever. Be with us, Lord, in this ceremony, and I'll shut up now and get out of the way.
Amen. Thank you so much. Check 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me properly?
Yes.
Proud of y'all.
Next.
Y'all have a good day here.
Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag and the United States of America. I now welcome Colonel John Bradley.
Today, I challenge each of you to think about the words you're about to utter. And take with you as you go to your homes today the love of freedom-loving people everywhere and of veterans from every war that the United States has fought. Now, if you'll say with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Well, I was so worried about the rain. I'm real grateful. It's just a wonderful day today. Next will be the history of the statue. It will be presented by guest speakers. The first individual will be Rick Morgan. He's a local historian. Rick, if you'd like to speak, please.
Can you hear me? I'm pleased to be here today. Having been interested in the history of Washington County, I became more concerned and interested when I discovered somehow the statue had to be moved for construction at the courthouse. Thus, I began to look at it from a standpoint of the historical significance. It goes back to 1905 when a group of veterans from the war got together in Abingdon, and they met with the Daughters of the Confederacy and felt that there needed to be some sort of monument to the veterans. And I'm so pleased to recognize today the Daughters of the Confederacy. Would you all stand up, please? The Daughters of the Confederacy got this project started. They went out and raised $1,000 in 1905, which was very significant. And they went to the Board of Supervisors and said, would you match it? And the Board of Supervisors said, we'll put $3,000 up. And you had a total of $4,000 to build a statue. So, I'll give you a brief rundown on what happened after that. With the money, they were able to hire a very prominent sculptor. And by 1907, they had a statue ready to be erected in the middle of Main Street in front of the courthouse. In 1908, they decided it was time to do a formal dedication ceremony. And the word went out. And it so happened that that ceremony was on June the 3rd. And that's one of the reasons that you're here today on June the 3rd, to remember that original one. By 1936, so many cars had hit the statue that the local officials decided we better move the statue because the cars simply aren't going to move the statue. And there were many, many wrecks apparently. So in 36, they moved it over to the lawn in front of the courthouse. On the brochure, there are pictures of the locations of the statues. Also of interest was the fact that when the statue was put up first, it was facing north. Why was it facing north? Why? It was there to defend our service and our country. So, when they decided to move it in 36, they brought it over to the courthouse and tried it going north, but then somebody pointed out, if you went down Main Street at that point, you were looking at the rear end of the soldier. So that didn't work, and we turned it east. And so when it became time for us to move it here, I asked Charlie Hargis one day, well, what way are you going to have it facing, Charlie? And Charlie said, north. Yay, thank you, Charlie. So you'll know we are being looked after and defended. All right, so the whole idea, of course, was to honor the foot soldier, the common soldier who was out there every day in all kinds of weather. And they decided that the person to do this statue was a well-known sculptor by the name of Frederick William Sievers. He was an Indiana boy who decided to study sculpture in Rome and Paris. And his first professional job was in Abingdon, Virginia, to do this statue. However, he decided to do justice to that. He would come to Abingdon and he would interview all of the veterans that he could find. And he would talk to them. He said, well, how did they hold the rifles? Where did the canteen go? What kinds of side effects did they have? And he studied these uniforms to determine what should he put on the statue. But he went further than that. He talked to him and said, what was your attitude? I want to know about your soul when you were out there fighting day after day. And that is to be reflected in this statue. And I think he captured that attitude, and he captured the soul of the common foot soldier. Sievers went on to do a number of other statues. As a matter of fact, as soon as the people in Pulaski, Virginia saw this, they had to have their own, and they got one. So he also is responsible for the statue at Gettysburg dedicated to the state of Virginia. And if you go online and look at it, it is a large statue, but look down at the base. The base of the statue has all of the infantry foot soldiers in all kinds of positions. And once again, he captured the true feeling of those men as they faced war in Gettysburg. So we're in debt to him for that. Now we get to the dedication of this and the dedication on June the 5th, or June the 3rd, excuse me, they decided that they would announce it, and in the paper, as a matter of fact, when you look at the little brochure, there's a notice in the paper that there will be a ceremony, and would you ladies please bring picnic baskets for 500 people. I don't know how they did it, but at any rate, a couple of things I noted. That they had a dedication and a ceremony and an unveiling. And they had the grandniece of General Jeb Stuart do the unveiling, which was significant. Why did they choose Judge John Buchanan? What was the purpose of having him speak? John Buchanan understood the foot soldier. He was in the Virginia militia. He fought at Gettysburg. He was captured at Gettysburg, and he spent 2 years as a POW before he could return home. He truly understood what he was talking about. And then one of the comments in his dedication speech, which apparently went on for hours and hours, and I promise you I won't do that. He said, the newspapers of the county, in stating who are the principal speakers of the day, omitted the most important one. The orator of the occasion is the monument itself. It speaks to you. And look at it today. Does it not speak to you? Yes. So, in closing his comments, he made a challenge in 1908 to the young men and maidens gathered here today, to the generations it calls to you to cherish and emulate the virtues of the men and women of the day, to follow their example, to serve your country as they served it in war, and to hand down to coming generations unimpaired the rights and liberties inherited by you. I think that was a beautiful message to us today in terms of living among each other and sharing. Now, Judge C, in addition to the statue, Sievers, when he came here to talk to the veterans, also talked to the families that were left behind, the families that were suffering. No men to do the work on the farm. And so they were, what's that? Oh, okay. All right, he discovered that there was another story. And that story was the women that were here throughout the war and how they suffered. If you look carefully, at the opposite side of this, there is a bronze piece of a woman, and above it, the statue that is dedicated to wives, mothers, sisters, daughters. And I think he had a tremendous insight when he picked out the fact that there was another sacrifice besides the soldiers. It was the families at home. Thus he did that and made a wonderful piece that we don't often look at. But take a look at it before you leave, the way they dedicated this. Now, besides this, we have a second monument that was done later on to generals that were from Washington County. It was from generals of Washington County and dedicated in 1999. It was erected by camp number 1863, James Grasnick, commander. And Ron, there are several people here today that were there in 1999 to help dedicate this. I'm not sure where you are, but would you raise your hand if indeed Ron Raskin. Thank you, Ron, and others that were here to do this statue. So it is the second statue to the men that served in this. The brochure has got information about the statue and what I've been talking about. And from what I understand, we're not going to have a quiz later. Is that right? No quiz today. But please read about the history of Washington County. It's important. Thank you so much.
I apologize about the mic. It's not acting up well today. We'll make the best of it. Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. I would now like to welcome Charlie Vargas. I welcome a member of the Washington County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Eric. Can you all hear okay? Is everybody hearing all right?
Turn it off.
Can you get that arm?
You can run off it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just hold it.
Hold it.
Grab it.
Okay, how about that? Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, first thing I wanted to show you is we did make the front page of the Bristol Herald Courier today. You may have seen, but it's right on the front page, so I'm glad you all made it out today. Second thing I'd like to do is recognize the fact that there's several people here from the Board of Supervisors of Washington County, and I'd like for you to stand up, raise your hand, or scream, or do something. There's one of them. But we're pretty well represented here, and I do want to thank them for unanimously voting to put the statue here on county property. And while I'm talking about it, I would also like to thank Sheriff Blake Andis and Holland's Tent Company for providing the tent and the chairs. And oh yeah, I got to thank Washington County for providing a microphone system and this wonderful speaker stand here. But anyway, thank you, Sheriff Andis. Well, anyway, briefly, I wanted to tell you all why we ended up putting it here, real quick. Last summer, we were informed that the Confederate statue would have to be moved in order for the construction on the new courthouse offices.
which is beginning, I think, this week. But anyway, we thought it'd be good to put it in the Veterans Park in downtown Abingdon. And the Veterans Park was a joint effort of the town and the county, but the town owns the park. But the Veterans Park Association was set up to run the park, and it has for, is it 18 years now? So that's what it originally was. The Veterans Park Board thought it would be great to put the statue in the Veterans Park. But anyway, Reynolds and Rick Morgan and, well, others asked the town at every meeting that they had between August and November if they would put it, they would allow it in the Veterans Park since they own the park. And anyway, well, some other people wanted it put back at the courthouse, but that's in the preservation zone of the county. And others wanted it in Sinking Springs Cemetery, which is also owned by the town of Abingdon. But anyway, although they never put the issue on their agenda, we did receive word in November that the town council didn't want the statue on any town property, so we decided we better find us a place. We were required by the Commonwealth of Virginia to advertise this for 30 days before it could be moved, and ask anyone who wanted to take it to apply for it. Well, we decided first off that we would want it to stay in Washington County, but it would also be best for it to stay in Abingdon. Well, there was only one location in Washington County who applied for it, and that was the VFW in Damascus. But anyway, we ended up with the Veterans Park in Damascus. But anyway, which is owned by the town of Damascus, so we didn't have full authorization to do that anyway. But the only two other places left were to leave it where it is, or to put it back on the courthouse, or to put it here, or on other county-owned property. Putting it back on the courthouse would have required moving it, storing it for up to 2 years, maybe more, and then moving it again back to the courthouse. And it's still in the preservation zone. So we decided this would be a better location. And let's see, the statue had to be moved by March 15th, so we quickly found this place for it. I think it's an excellent location. And at its December meeting, the Board of Supervisors unanimously voted to move it here. Do want to emphasize, this is the beginning of a park. We would welcome any veterans group that would like to be involved in our Common Soldier Park. The Confederate statue is the focal point, but it also is the beginning. And I hope we a lot of donations. I think the county has done more than their share, and I do believe it's time for us to stand up with our donations in order to make this a nice. I believe we've still got a problem here. But anyway, let's see. We will probably be having a contest to name the park. But as of right now, we're calling it the Common Soldier Park, or the Common Foot Soldier Park. But anyway, the Veterans Park Association has agreed to take care of the financial arrangements for the park in terms of making sure that the money's taken care of, and we appreciate it. But I would also like to thank you all for coming out, and if y'all do have some questions, we thought we'd better not do that right now, but if you have any, you can ask me after the meeting. I'll be glad to answer if I can. But I'll thank you all for coming out, and I do want to thank all the veterans and the Confederate Sons of the Confederacy for coming out. And I'll give it back to Eric here. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Charlie. All right, our next guest speaker, speaking for the veterans, will be Emmett Yearly.
Gary. Yeah.
Excuse me a minute. Let me see. You deserve it. I did not say it properly. This is a wonderful person. This is Emmett Yearley, chairman of the Veterans Park Foundation. And I apologize about that.
Thank you.
Over 50 years ago, shortly before I was to graduate from law school, I received a call from Abingdon attorney John Augustus Blakemore, inviting me to come to Abingdon to possibly join him in the practice of law here in Abingdon. At that time, I explained to Mr. Blakemore that I was scheduled to report for duty in the United States Army in September, just 3 months away. He nevertheless expressed a desire to meet me and possibly join him in the practice of law for the summer and maybe later after my stint in the Army. In fact, he was glad that I was going into the Army since he had been a veteran of both World War I and World War II, and having had the honor of serving under General Patton in World War II. I was very impressed with Major Blakemore. He had been a sergeant in World War I, and then the second time around he attained the rank of major. The town of Abingdon in Washington County, so I was impressed very much with him, his background in the town of Abingdon in Washington County, and decided to join him for the summer. During that short 3 months, as a young country lawyer, I had many occasions to go into the Washington County Courthouse. It was during this time that I became acquainted with the monument standing sentinel over the courthouse, which incidentally had been burned down during the Civil War. During those trips, I frankly did not give a lot of thought to the importance or symbolism of this statue. But less than a year later, I found myself as a young soldier in Vietnam. It was there that I first heard the name of Billy Webb. I'd been contacted by his mother to see if I could find out some of the details of how her son had been killed, which she thought was near the base where I was then stationed. After locating his company, I learned that Lieutenant Webb and a young sergeant had been killed while on a mission near the base, just about a year earlier. Later, his company had named 2 dusty little dirt roads near their headquarters after Billy and the sergeant. I remember that I took a picture of Billy's son and sent it to his mother and told her just some of the story of what I had learned about Billy's death. I did not tell her, however, that Billy and the sergeant had just been wounded, but then they were assassinated while they were lying helplessly on the ground by the Viet Cong. About 2 years later, I returned to Abingdon to again practice law with Mr. Blakemore. And over the years, I had many occasions to walk by the lone sentinel seeming to guard the courthouse. Now, unlike before, there was never a time that I passed by this monument that I did not feel the spirit of a soldier. Likewise, over the years, whenever I visited any memorial honoring our soldiers, always felt their spirit and remembered their sacrifices. I will never forget the wisdom of an old fellow that came to my office for some advice about something I don't really remember, but just out of the blue. He said,
Did you ever notice
"It's mostly the poor women of the country
who wear the soul?"
During the years that followed, I also could not help but note that the only monument we had in Abingdon, Washington County honoring the common soldier was the lone sentinel at the courthouse. It seemed like Abingdon was more interested in bragging about being a home place of governors and Civil War generals than paying tribute to the thousands of other servicemen and women who were not people with high rank or high office or high-sounding names, but were simply men and women of action and courage with love and fidelity for their country. In 2003, to rectify this situation, I, along with a group of other veterans, Mrs. Webb, and family members of others that died in the service of our country, appeared before the Abingdon Town Council and were able to convince the council to designate a 13-acre tract of land on Cumming Street as Veterans Memorial Park. We can never have enough memorials and places to honor those who have given and continue to give their lives for our freedom. It is only fitting that today this lone sentinel that once guarded the courthouse is now being rededicated to represent the uncommon, common soldier, and now stands sentinel over our county center of government. When the Town Council of Abingdon, at our request, named a street going to the Veterans Memorial Park after Billy Webb, Mrs. Webb said to her daughter Sandra, "But he's not the only one." But Sandra replied, "Mama, he represents them all. Mama, he represents them all." Today, this statue is rededicated to represent them all. The way we treat our children, our elders, our firemen, our policemen, and our soldiers is a direct measure of the character of a community. The Billy Webbs and Billy Jeans of our country must never be forgotten. If we forget them, there may be a day when they forget us. Then all is lost, and our country and our freedom will be no more. Thank you, and may God bless America, and may God help us to be united in the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmett. Next, we're going to go with the Honor Guard. One thing I'd like to say, on behalf of the organizations and myself that work to protect this statue, we'd like to extend a special thank you to the Washington County Board, which we call the Horseshoe, Charlie, all of them, Wayne, raise your hand. Without them, this would not have happened. I'm going to shorten this. We originally wanted, our dream was $10,000. $10,000 to protect this honorable statue. Local citizens is what we were. We just wanted it in the ground safe and protected for the next generation. That was it. In the end, we got $140,000 to build a beautiful park around it, and with the plan to expand it through local donations. We firmly believe it's in the best location because it's the people's statue of Washington County. Not only that, it's America's statue, and it will be here safe. So thank you, Horseshoe. You know what that means. Okay, we now have the Honor Guard, which they're here with colors.
Attention, company.
Give me one moment, please. Okay, what I like to say is, as we, the group, individuals, work to protect this statue, it's never about me, it's about us, we. But I feel it's very important that we recognize the camps, Sons of Confederate Veterans that are here today. No certain order, I'd like to say the camps. We have the Walker Terry Camp, 1758, Virginia. Witcher Venison Camp, 1863, Virginia. Captain John F. McKinley, 840, Virginia. Saltville Home Guard, 2090, Virginia. James Killing Camp, 52, Tennessee. And the Corpse Value Music Heritage.
They're going to do it again. They're loading up again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Honor Guard. That was just absolutely beautiful. Thank you. You know, I appreciate the guest speakers today. It was wonderful speeches. You guys are a tough act to follow. The best I could find was a friend gave me a letter, and it was to Governor James Gilmore III from a company commander, Henry Kidd of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, Colonial Heights, Virginia. You may know him. I don't know the age of this letter or anything, but I just like the ending. I won't read the whole letter. We are a diverse society, and in it is only through the study and understanding of each other's cultures that we can accept and embrace the diverse history of this melting pot called the United States of America. And I just loved that. I was going to write something, but then I sat and I thought, I don't know what more I can say. In closing remarks, we embrace this day with gratitude and pride. In our love to the Virginia heritage and our American patriotism. In remembrance, it encompasses all the Washington County soldiers, the families, the wives and the women and the American families that participated and fought in the American Civil War and the war between the states. How we're going to end this today? We're going to have Michael Hennington playing All the Sin. And so Michael, if you come down, please. Okay. Thank you so much for attending the dedication. This now ends it. God bless you. Thanks of America. Have a great day.
Great job, man!
Hey, wait a minute. Give us one more minute. I stand corred. We have two flags up here.
Yeah, they're just not.
Ceremony's over. We got two flags up here. Now these flags were used. Testing. These two flags, dedications. We'd like to give them away. Let's start with who drove the furthest, because you're appreciated. Just by raising your hand. Who's 2 hours away? Somebody out there. If you ain't from Washington County, we won't hold it against you. They're beautiful flags. Buchanan County. All right. Anybody beat Buchanan County? Who County? You know where I'm from, Howie. It's okay. Anybody else? Any further distance? All right, sir. Okay. Honor guard. Would you pull the flags down? Please assist the individuals in folding properly. Which. All right. How about the oldest person here today? I don't know if you want that or. Come on. We still love you. It don't matter.
I'm 82. I'm 82. It's my flag. I'm getting it away. You got me beat?
83.
Hey, I hear 83.
85.
It's feeling like an auction. I'm going to sell something here. 85, 85, 85. 90. All right. And what's your name, sir?
George Kilgore.
George Kilgore, 90. Well,
Come here, man. Hold these flags for him. Hold these flags for these people. Honor guard. You beat me. Congratulations.
Thank you for attending.